Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Ken Bone Zone milestone episode number 40. Indeed, a milestone because it's the final episode of season number 2. Thank you for sticking with us through season number 2. We will be back in a couple of weeks in time for election season with the premiere of season number 3, at which time we're going to be expanding to more platforms, reaching a bigger audience. Here with me, of course, is my great friend Josh Burkett up in the great frozen north. How you doing this week, buddy?
Great! Summer's almost over, and that makes me sad. But otherwise, I'm great.
That is what I like to hear. I am not that sad about the end of summer because it means that my son has gone back to school, which is good, and it's not so hot all the time, which is also good. I'm more of a fall-winter guy. I'm not really that into the summer. Too hot.
See, I used to love... Well, fall's still my favorite, but... Man, I used to like winter, but then up here, it's not just winter, it's hell.
Yeah, winter's not fun when you have to shovel winter off of your driveway for an hour, like every day, to go to work.
Yeah, that's awful.
Significantly less fun.
But we deal.
Oh, well, what can you do? I want to let everybody know that this week's episode is brought to you by Cameo, and this is not a joke sponsor. This is an actual app that you can use if you want to get personalized shout-outs from me or from a lot of other YouTubers, athletes, reality TV stars, all kinds of folks. Like if you have a birthday coming up for a friend, or you want to have personalized, say, wedding invitations, or just any kind of greeting you want, you can reach out through the Cameo app or with their website at cameo.com, and any one of us, pick me, will record a personalized greeting for you in whatever format you want. Heck, I'll even read whatever script you want as long as it's nothing too terribly obscene. Whatever you want, just pay me more money. Just whatever you want. It's a personalized greeting. It's really a neat app. A friend of mine hooked me up with the guy who started the thing. And it seemed like a good idea, and I figured I would help him out with it. And in return, I'm going to be able to use it to hopefully raise some money for my favorite charity, St. Patrick's Center.
That's cool.
So, that's going to be fun. I guess we'll jump right into the news. Boy, do we ever love talking about the news here on this show. Oh, this wasn't originally going to be a 100% news show, but we have so many stories every week that we run out of time. And we don't have to talking about much else. It's probably why we run into like really long tangents, because it's not fun to talk about politics for an hour. Oy. But I bet it's fun to listen to it.
That's why I think we need to get the video back up, because was it last week or the week before? Man, I thought you were going to have like an Alex Jones like cardiac. You were so pissed. I loved it. It was great.
This is how I will die, doing this show. I will have a brain aneurysm and die. Hopefully we have the show like live on YouTube by then. We'll be doing a YouTube live and then picking it up for the audio listeners released later or something. So everybody can just watch me croak. That ought to get people tuning in.
Stupid Tide Pod eating.
Dead. I bet I know a lot of people that would tune in specifically to watch me die. It'd be great ratings. Anyway.
Speaking of people dying.
Yeah, oh my gosh, I don't want to read the news. It's all so stupid.
Read the news.
Well, this week, we're recording this on Thursday, and this last week, on Tuesday, all of the news in the world happened in one day. Like, every news thing that can happen all happened at once, making all other days shamed by comparison because of their lack of news. So we had all kinds of stuff. We'll start with something that started to break on Monday. An ICE agent, Immigrations and Customs Enforcement agents, arrest a man while he's driving his pregnant wife to the hospital. And this thing blew up on Twitter with like 100,000 retweets. And oh my gosh, ICE are monsters. They're horrible human beings. And we'll set aside the fact that it wouldn't matter if Heather was pregnant and I had like unpaid parking tickets. If there was a warrant out for my arrest, they'd be like, oh, well, good luck, buddy. Call an ambulance or something. And she'd drive her damn pregnant self to the hospital.
Right.
The cops do not care. Yeah, and it's not like he was speeding on his way because she was in labor. They were going to a scheduled C-section. And they were stopped at a gas station. They didn't even get pulled over. They got stopped while he was already out of the car. Oh, and by the way, he's wanted for murder in Mexico. Whoops. We forgot to say that part because we were in too big of a hurry to further our narrative that all ICE are evil, evil people.
Oh, man, there was so much salt. Let's do your research, people.
I mean, I'm not going to call it fake news because it was real news. It was a guy really got arrested and he really was on the way to the hospital. It's just that it turns out he was not a good person. It turns out that even if you suck, you can still get women pregnant. That's a damn shame. That is a design flaw.
Wait. Are you saying that women can't block the sperm of terrible men and rapists and just naturally with their biology? Is that what?
Even though,
because I always thought that's what
a genius lawmaker did once tell us that women's bodies have a way of shutting that down. That was one of the stupidest things, and I'm pretty sure he said that like on the Senate floor. That's one of the dumbest things ever been said on the Senate floor. Women's bodies have a way of shutting it down. Like, who is able? Just I know, Senator, it's impossible for you to imagine yourself as anything other than an old white man. But please try to imagine yourself as a woman and just think, which button do I press on my wrist activator here on my HUD, on my controls device that pushes away the bad guy sperm? That idiot.
It makes me wonder, like, where did he get that? What drove him to believe that? Was it some, like, intern that was just, like, wanting to screw around and, like, hey, he'll believe anything. Hey, did you know, Senator, that
rape victims can't get pregnant, and don't Google that. Just go say it, dummy.
Yeah.
It's one of the stupidest. Anyway, so yeah, that guy was a murderer, and I hope he goes to jail forever because murder's bad. Speaking of murder, applicable segue that makes me sad. Molly Tibbetts, she's a young lady in Iowa that's been missing since July 19th. She's not missing anymore. She's dead. That sucks. Her body was found the other day. Apparently she was murdered by a local farmhand who there is a lot of dispute now about whether he is a legal immigrant or an illegal immigrant. He was able to pass the E-Verify system for working as an immigrant, but there's some question as to whether he cheated the system, or that part doesn't really matter that much. What matters is that he killed Molly Tibbetts. We're arguing a whole lot over his immigration status, when really we should be figuring out, like, letting immigrants in is good, because we need them, and they're good for the country, and this is a great place to live, and they want to live here. Letting in murderers is bad. Like, are we really that stupid as a country and that inept as a government that we can't let people in who are good and not let people in who have their butthole stuffed full of drugs or who will murder young 20-year-old women?
Right. That's not racism. That's just being smart.
Yeah.
Hey, did you put these stories together on purpose?
No, usually I kind of put the stories in, like, just as I see them, as I'm kind of throwing stuff on the notes. Is like, while I'm eating my lunch at work, I'll be browsing the news and I'll see a story like, I want to talk about that. And then when I get home that night, I'll put some more research into it. And so they just kind of end up in, whatever order they're in. And then I got to unjumble it a couple hours before the show, and they just kind of happen to end up next to each other. Microphone disaster.
Dead space, dead air.
Dead
air.
Funny,
I asked just because, like, the ICE story, a lot of liberal friends on Facebook, ICE is terrible, and then a day later, Molly Tibbetts, a lot of my conservative friends, all illegals are terrible, It was the extreme of the spectrum this week.
Illegal immigrants, as a percentage, commit less crimes than almost any other segment of the population. And legal immigrants also commit very few crimes. And one of the reasons for that is if you snuck into the country and you're not supposed to be here, obviously you don't want to commit a crime because then you get caught and they kick you out. Another reason for that is because most of the people that come here, a huge, huge majority of the people that come here to get better lives and to work. And they want to keep their head down and not screw up their opportunity. But in every segment of the population, there are people that suck big time, are evil, just terrible people. There are some cops that suck big old dong. There are some soldiers. There are some doctors. And yes, there are some immigrants that are awful, awful human beings. There's no getting around that. It's just as stupid and naive to say that, oh, every immigrant is just trying to live the American dream, as it is to say every immigrant is a thug and a murderer. Neither of those things are true, and they are both terribly naive and stupid.
Yep.
So, yes, I wish this guy had gotten caught at the border or gotten caught in the E-Verify system, because he is obviously a sack of crap who, obviously I don't know his life story, but it seems like there should be some red flags associated with a guy who does this. This is from his arrest warrant. So the dude's name is Christian Rivera. So Molly Tibbetts is out jogging. This dude is in a Chevy Malibu, and he drives back and forth past her, jogging, multiple times. This is all caught on a security camera. This is how they caught him. They tied the car to him, and then they picked him up, and then he gave this confession. So he's questioned by law enforcement about the disappearance. She disappeared on July 18th. They brought this guy in to question him on August 20th. When they questioned him, he admitted to making contact with a female running in Brooklyn. That's Brooklyn, Iowa, not Brooklyn, New York. And that he pursued her in his vehicle to an area east of town. He parked the vehicle, got out, and was running behind her and alongside of her, probably accosting her, typical hey baby, catcally bull crap. So she pulls out her phone and says, "I'm going to call the police." He then panicked and got mad, and he says that's where his memory blocked out. He says, "When I get very upset, I don't remember anything." And he didn't remember anything until he came to an intersection back in his car. He then noticed, he made a U-turn, drove back to the entrance of a cornfield, drove up through a driveway into the cornfield, and noticed that one of the earpieces from her headphones was in his lap. And that made him remember that he had put her in the trunk. He went to get her out of the trunk and noticed that the side of her head was bloody. He described her clothing, including the type of headphones she was wearing. Further described during the interview that he had dragged Tibbetts on foot from his vehicle to a secluded location in the cornfield, picked her up, put her over his shoulder, carried her 20 meters out into the field, and left her covered in corn leaves, and he left her there face up. The defendant was able to use his phone and GPS to get back to town, and he later was able to guide law enforcement to that exact location from memory. Law enforcement located the remains of a deceased female. Physical surroundings of her location matched his description. Her clothing matched his description. Her headphones matched his description. So from that, they determined it must in fact be Molly Tibbetts, and they are charging him with her murder. I think it's pretty weird that he confessed to all this stuff without just saying, "Yeah, I killed her." The dude's got to have some kind of imbalance, and the whole I didn't remember because when I get mad I forget stuff. Well, that's huge amounts of bullshit. Or
totally.
Or he's insane. He's lying about that, or he's crazy. But either way, he obviously gave the cops more than enough that he's going to jail forever, and thankfully so, because he's a disgusting murderer. And all the while, we're busy arguing about immigration, an issue that should have been solved and could have been solved a long, long time ago, but Democrats and Republicans refuse to agree on any kind of compromise. So instead of doing anything, we'll just stick with the stupid system we got. And immigrants will continue to be abused because we use them as an indentured underclass of, we treat them like subhumans. They barely get paid. They get no benefits. They don't have OSHA protection because they're not, you're not getting inspected by government agencies if you're hiring illegal immigrants. You're subjecting them to terrible conditions.
Right.
So the good immigrants who are working hard, which is most of them, a lot of them get abused and subjugated and taken advantage of. And then the bad ones who are running drugs and killing people, which is the extreme minority of them, but they exist, they are running drugs and killing people. We have the absolute worst possible solution going on, and we refuse to change anything about it. As soon as you bring it up, you're either a racist or a libtard.
Right.
It's kind of a microcosm of it's our entire political process right now is kind of encapsulated in immigration. Nobody will touch it because of the political ramifications, and people just suffer. It's gross. It's disgusting.
Yeah. Oh, time to drink.
Yep. Drinky time. Oh, let's see. Do we have a happy story next? Oh, no. Damn it. Not really. I don't really have any happy stories tonight. Asia Argento.
Post Malone's okay.
Post Malone is okay. I'm pretty stoked about that. Asia Argento, she was one of the early accusers of Harvey Weinstein and one of the founders of the Me Too movement. It turns out she committed statutory rape of a 17-year-old boy when she was in her mid-30s. Yeah, not a good look. But very, very important to remember that just because one of the early adopters of this movement turns out she was she was bad, doesn't mean that there's anything less good or anything bad about the Me Too movement. Me Too is still very important. There's still women's issues that need to be addressed. I'm not sure how well government can address them, but I'm really glad that we have this big social movement now so that people can start to address it in themselves. We've talked a lot about the Me Too movement and our support for it, and I don't want to see that diminished just because one of the ladies who accused Harvey Weinstein was also a sucky person. That happens. You can be a victim and also be shitty. You could get run over by a drunk driver and it turned out you were an asshole. You could be both of those things. So
Yeah, that's true. And I don't want to condone statutory rape, but I mean if you're gonna pick a bad sexual crime to commit, I mean 17-year-old boy in a lot of other countries that's legal. So I get when people want to fuel the fire and be like, see, women do it too. It's like, well, yeah, but
it's not like she beat this guy's face in and then forcibly raped him. It wasn't that kind of deal. It was she had been working with him in a professional way since he was a kid, like 10 or 11, and she kind of groomed him into this until they eventually started having a sexual relationship. So it is gross, but it is possible for women to rape men, but it's not the same.
Oh yeah.
It's not like some female MMA fighter is going to come and just beat you down until you have sex with her. Right. Because unless you're in a very, very specific subset of the population, it becomes impossible for you to have sex while you're getting punched in the face. Just due to the sheer mechanics of it, it's not really that arousing of an experience.
Wait, do we know this by experience, Ken, or just punch me in the face?
Not in a sexual way, but I do know I would testify to this in court that I have never had an erection at the same time I've been getting punched in the face. At least not for long.
Fair. Okay. I think I can say the same thing. Okay.
I think most of our male listeners can piece that together in their head and realize that, you know what? Me too. But here's our only slightly happy story of the night. Post Malone is okay. That's the happy part. Post Malone's a good kid. Hey. If you're not familiar with Post Malone, he's got one of the biggest albums of this summer. His name's Austin Post. He's a rapper who goes by the rap name of Post Malone. He's in his early 20s. Real nice kid. He's like a friend of a friend. I haven't hung out with him or anything. I've only interacted with him a little bit online. But he's seems like a really nice, humble guy. And he was in danger this week. Private jet with him and 15 passengers, which I'm guessing are probably members of his entourage or his crew, or maybe he could have been on this jet with other folks. But they were flying over to the United Kingdom. On takeoff, 2 of the tires blew out. Well, that's bad, because you never know what else is going to go wrong with an airplane when 2 of the tires explode on takeoff. So obviously you got to land. So they go to do an emergency landing, but before they can land, they're like, well, we got enough fuel on board to fly all the way across the ocean. We have to fly around in circles and burn some of this fuel off. So it's a very tense time where you know you have to make an emergency landing, you know something's wrong with the plane, but you can't safely land yet because there's 3,700 gallons of extra fuel on the plane, and we have to burn it up before we can land because we can't risk it leaking or catching fire. Yeah, so that was...
Oh, man.
That was probably a really scary thing. Took a couple hours, but they landed safely, and they're okay. All 16 passengers, including Post, they're all right.
I didn't know that was protocol. That's interesting.
Yeah, you want to, if you have to do an emergency landing, especially with bad landing gear or no landing gear, you want to make sure you don't have very much fuel, because there's going to be a lot of sparks when you land.
Huh.
So I fly a lot.
That makes sense.
I fly a lot, so I've read a lot about it.
Learn something new every day. I just figured they'd be like, we're just going to, crash this Mo into the ocean and everybody will be fine. No, I'm kidding. But
I got extremely upset at a few people online because there were, Post had tweeted about it. He's like, I can't believe how many people were wishing me dead on Twitter. That's messed up. And then I ran into one of those people. And this person said, I hadn't heard of Post Malone, but I read this story, so I checked out his album on Spotify, and let me just say, it sure would be a tragedy if any of the other people on that plane died. And so I replied to him, I was like, you know what, it's a human being on the other side of the screen, you worthless piece of subhuman garbage, kindly go fuck yourself.
Yeah, I'd say that's appropriate.
I've been on the other end of plenty of people who just assume that I'm not real, that I'm a character that was just dreamed up by the internet. And so they're very dehumanizing, and their online behavior towards me is just awful. Horrible. And this young guy, Austin's a lot younger than me. I don't know what kind of mental state he's in, but he's in a very high-stress job, performing all the time. You don't need to be seeing that crap. People treating him like he's not a real person and joking about how it'd be funny if he died. Go to hell. That sucks.
Yeah, no doubt.
Learn to have a little bit of basic human empathy.
Yeah. How old is he? Because, he's young, isn't he?
He's 23, 20, 24, something like that.
Okay.
He's just a little baby. Just a little fella.
Man, when did we become old enough to call teenagers and people between 18 and low 20s kids? It's really kind of sad.
I don't know. It's weird. The Molly Tibbetts case, the previous story. I'm looking at the warrant paperwork here that I printed out, and it lists her date of birth as May 8th, 1998. Now, May 8th, 1998, we were both sitting in high school. We were sophomores in high school, getting ready to go on summer break, and she was born. I just feel so old. Yeah, I feel old too.
Yeah.
I never tire of reminding you that you are older than me, but I'm also in worse shape and have less hair. So
I don't know, man. That's I might be catching up with you. Lately, my pants haven't been fitting me.
You got your work cut out for you, baby. We'll compare belts this Christmas when you're in town.
There we go.
It's not weird unless you make it weird, audience.
Yeah. Don't judge us.
It's 2018. We can compare belts.
2018, yeah.
We can take our pants off and put one pants inside the other pants without it being weird.
Right, yeah. Don't discriminate. Haters.
Make a Voltron of pants. Anyway, yeah, that's...
I love it.
The general rule when interacting with people online or in person, if you want to say something on Twitter, if you want to tweet something at somebody, if you couldn't look that person in the eye and say it just out of embarrassment, then shut up.
Right.
And I know everybody wants to get on Jimmy Kimmel's mean tweets. Like, they want to see somebody read something really mean, like, oh, I wrote that, aren't I funny and clever? Well, here's the deal. 99% of you aren't that funny and clever. You're just being dicks.
Right.
Like, trying to make an off-the-cuff joke about, oh, that guy sucks, I wish he had died. That's not funny. That's not original. It's just mean.
Right. Not that I actually wish this, but part of me does. That wish there was some sort of device where, you could just spend some money and zap a troll whenever he's being a dick online. Or maybe if you're rich enough, there was like Jay and Silent Bob movie where they just had a bunch of money and they just flew around and beat the crap out of trolls. That's justice right there.
I would love that.
Wish we could do that. Yeah.
I would love to be able to confront, some of the people in person that were like, oh, I wish your house would burn down because I'm tired of seeing you. Yeah, that's constructive. A-hole. Anyway. Okay, while this next story is not a good news story, it's funny. Representative Duncan Hunter, Republican from California, the 50th District, which is the San Diego area, he's been indicted for campaign finance violations. He's he's posted $15,000 bond, and his wife has had to post $10,000 bond. And why is their bond so low? Well, because they are broke. They are broke as dicks. Even though they've been busy stealing about $250,000 in campaign funds over the last 7 years. I didn't run for Congress because I was afraid, you can't pay your mortgage out of campaign finance donations, and you have to usually quit your job to campaign full-time. How would I pay my bills? And I just couldn't reconcile that. It was a really big risk, and there were some people telling me like, oh, there's things you can do where you can move finances around where you can still keep your bills paid. And I'm like, yeah, it sounds kind of shady. And all the while, all that stuff that probably was legal in some way because these people, work on campaigns and they know campaign finance. All the while I was saying like, oh, that sounds too shady for me. This guy was spending $14,000 taking a vacation to Italy with campaign money. $6,500 to go to Hawaii, $3,700 to go to Las Vegas, and a whole bunch of others and day trips. I love the vacation to Italy in particular because he takes his whole family, but to make it seem legit, he's like, well, I'm a congressperson, so I'll arrange a tour of our U.S. Navy base in Italy. So it seems like I'm there on a fact-finding mission. Well, then the commander of the naval base is like, yeah, we can't really do that on Tuesday, Congressman. Can we do it on Wednesday instead? And that would have ruined his vacation plans. So he said, quote, tell the Navy to go fuck themselves. What a nice dude. Support the troops, Representative Hunter, Republican from California, 50th District. Remember that on Election Day, folks. This dude spent over go ahead.
I was going to say, I loved his defense where, it's all a conspiracy by the deep state Democrats. Like, who are you trying to fool, man? Like, your hand was literally caught in the cookie jar. Well, not figuratively caught. Yeah. just stop.
We've got this is not the deep state. This is receipts and recordings and witnesses and people from your own campaign saying like you shouldn't be doing that.
The Democrats didn't turn your staffers.
Yeah. Dude spent over $1,000 on Steam, the online video game service, where you can download games on your PC.
Well, that
$1,000 on video games. Obviously, a campaign expense. He spent several $1,000s at Costco on groceries and personal items. His wife bought a whole bunch of nice new bedding. Probably the worst one. He was playing at a charity golf tournament, went into the clubhouse, wanted to buy some clothes for himself, but didn't have enough money because his personal money, he's tapped out. Like, his personal bank records show that he's paid over $30,000 in bounced check fees over the last 10 years.
Wow.
He's bounced over 1,000 checks or debit transactions from his personal bank account. That's $3,700 a year on average in bounced check fees. That is bouncing a transaction on average once every 3.5 days for 10 years. So this guy is broke as dicks. His bank account currently, he had to declare that for court records, has $14.85 in it. He is a congressman. Congressmen make $140-something thousand a year. I know that's not that much out in California, but you should have more than $14 in your bank account, and you definitely shouldn't be stealing $250,000 from your campaign. So he doesn't have the money to buy these shorts that he wants. So his wife tells him, just use the campaign money, and then on the receipt, write that it was golf balls for Wounded Warriors. Well, the Wounded Warriors was the charity they were playing for to raise money. So just say it was a campaign/charitable expense. He also spent $250 for a plane ticket for his pet rabbit. They had to fly someplace, and he spent $250 in campaign money for an extra seat for his rabbit.
Something tells me he's not fiscally conservative.
No, he's definitely not a cutting spending. But you know what? I bet if you look back in his record long enough, he's probably like, we have to cut these social welfare programs because people are scamming them. You can almost guarantee it. What a dirtbag.
Totally. Totally.
His campaign staffers warned him that his wife was spending a bunch of money and that he was spending a bunch of money. They're like, hey, you can't do that. It's illegal. And so he said, you guys are betraying me. You are, quote, trying to set up a paper trail on me. Like, okay, well, they didn't have to set it up. You set it up on yourself, dummy. What a moron.
I love that. Oh, that's great. I hope he runs for re-election, gets demolished.
Well, that's the killer, is that the election's in November. The primary's already over, and he won the primary, even though these allegations These allegations were starting to come out. So he's on the ballot as the Republican, and he cannot be removed. The Republican Party is powerless here. They cannot take him off. So the Republican Party only has two options, and you can guess which one they're going to pick. I guess they have three. Hopefully they pick the right one. Option number one is go with him and say, like, oh yeah, it's totally deep state. They're railroading him, and back him all the way and keep putting money into his campaign, which would be a disaster for the Republican Party, who cannot afford more scandal. Or they can just cut him loose and be like, look, I know it says Republican on the ballot, but this guy is a POS, and we don't want to be associated with him. Or three, they could throw their backing behind their own opponent and say, you know what, go ahead and vote for the Democrat. And what they're going to do is they're going to cut ties with him and let him sink, probably. What they should do is option three. They should say, you should totally vote for his opponent, vote for a Democrat, because country over party. And all of all the leftists will still say, like, oh, it's a ploy, they're only saying that because they know they're going to lose, which is 100% true. They would only be saying that because they knew they were going to lose. But it's a better message than doing nothing.
Right. Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah, they're not going to do that, though.
Oh, no, never. I mean, yeah.
I won't be that surprised if they pump money into his campaign, because they can't afford to lose too many seats.
Oh, and that's what it's about. So they'll try to sweep it under the rug, or they'll back him. If he resigns now or pulls himself from the race, then the Democrats basically just running unopposed. So he probably won't do that, and the Republican Party probably won't call on him to do that. But it would be a good political move. Speaker Paul Ryan is not popular. It would be a good move on his part to call this guy out in public and be like, look, you're giving us a bad name. I want you to quit. He can't make him quit, but he can publicly call for him and put a lot of pressure on him. Yeah. That would be nice.
Yeah.
Slightly related, funny story. When Amy and I got married and we combined our bank accounts, and 1 month she opened up the bill, or his credit card, whatever, and she sees a few transactions for Steam. She doesn't know what Steam is, and what is this? I'm like, baby, I can explain. It's not what you think it is. It's games. I swear it's games.
You know how in the summer you go to the grocery store and you buy ice so you can put it in the coolers? Well, in the winter It's really cold. You go to the grocery store and you buy steam. It's like the opposite of ice.
Steam.
You have a cooler full of steam. It's an idea I've been working on. I'm going to go on Shark Tank. That's how you keep your hot chocolate hot in the winter.
I dig it. That's good. Yeah. Real good. It's not porn, I swear.
Well, it's definitely not that. Actually, some of the games on there are borderline porn, but not the ones
totally.
we play. We're upstanding citizens.
Not the ones. Right. I'll play that weird undressed Japanese girls games. It's just weird.
Yeah, I only do those on the phone. The only game I've ever downloaded from Steam was Stardew Valley. I'm fixing to start me a new farm. I play on the Switch, and I'm going to start a different farm on the PC. And I'm going to download a whole bunch of mods, mod it up, have a different experience.
Oh, there you go.
So that'll be fun. I'll probably start
I do
that
like
in a couple weeks.
Stardew. Yeah, Stardew's legit.
I'm pretty sure I have to travel next week, so I won't be able to play. But a week after that, I'll be on it.
There you go.
Well, let's see. Well, moving along with the news. I guess it's a good segue of speaking of stupid people in politics. We got two really stupid people in politics. We have Trump's former lawyer, Mr. Michael Cohen. This guy, holy cow, what a dummy. So he is plead guilty. He's taken a plea deal. He hasn't been sentenced yet, but he's definitely looking at jail time for the stuff he pled guilty to, which includes wire fraud and campaign finance violations. He says he's willing to talk to Bob Mueller, the investigator in charge of the Russia probe. He's also said that he does not want a pardon from President Trump, which is a really weird thing to say.
That is weird.
His lawyer says he will not accept a pardon from President Trump. Well, Trump would be stupid to offer him one, but that doesn't mean he won't do it, because Trump does stupid stuff fairly regularly. He at least says stupid stuff fairly regularly. So this Cohen deal could implicate Trump for campaign finance violations. So you'll be able to tell what kind of talk show you're listening to based on what they say next after that. So anybody with like a liberal slant who is on television, most likely, is going to say, yeah, it's time to impeach Trump. We've got him. It's time to do our happy dance. This is the big one. And anybody with a conservative bent is going to say, well, Obama received $2 million in illegal campaign contributions, which is true. He totally did. He had to pay a $375,000 fine because of those. But he disclosed them, and he paid the fine, and then it was over. And also, I don't care if he was doing, Duncan Hunter level stuff. If Obama's out on a private jet just drinking Cristal with hookers, all on campaign money, I don't care. Prosecute him too, then. You prosecute everybody that does something wrong. You say, well, this guy got away with it. I don't care. Susie pushed me first. Well, I didn't see Susie push you. I can't prove it. But I saw you push her back. So you're in trouble. That's all there is to it. Bad behavior never excuses bad behavior. But, I've been saying but a whole lot tonight. If you want to impeach Trump over this, you got to start playing it across the board. And Congress isn't going to like that.
Yep.
Because, for one, the current Congress is Republican, so they're not going to get behind an impeachment. You got to basically win both houses if you want to successfully impeach and convict. And for two, campaign finance reform is not a popular topic among almost anyone in Congress, unless they're really, really good at hiding their bullshit. Because campaign finance is super crooked. Both sides are crooked. I can't believe you said both sides. They're not the same. Well, maybe they're not the same. Maybe one side's way worse than the other. But they both do it.
Right. Well, that's like two blind people arguing over who scored better on the vision test. Like, you both failed.
Yeah, they're both terrible. And then apart from Michael Cohen, we got Paul Manafort. Paul Manafort was Trump's campaign manager for like 3 or 4 months back in 2016. And he just got found guilty on 8 counts of tax evasion and wire fraud and related financial crimes. there was a hung jury on 10 more counts. Now, according to one of the jurors that I saw in the news today, there was only one holdout of the 12 jurors who made it a hung jury on those 10 counts. Otherwise, he would have got convicted on all 18 counts. Trump's already talking about pardoning Manafort, and he's saying how Manafort is a good guy, and like, oh yeah, Paul Manafort, he didn't start flipping and making up stories on me. You're like, President Trump, you couldn't make yourself sound more guilty if a screenwriter was writing this for you. Just shut the hell up. If you actually didn't do this, if you actually didn't commit any crimes, I want you to not go, get punished. If you did commit crimes, keep talking and we're going to find out. Idiot. I just don't understand how a guy so rich who must have been come after by lawyers for decades still doesn't know when to shut his mouth.
Exactly.
So, just saying that implies that...
and advisors.
Yeah, I'm only really mad at Cohen because he's talking trash on me, which is probably the case. Trump's a raging egomaniac, but you can't be saying that, dummy. So,
right.
It's important to note with the Manafort thing that this does not implicate Donald Trump in any way. That's something that I think people are missing. All this goes to show, because these violations all happened before he ever met Donald Trump, before he was involved in the campaign. So there's nothing that ties Donald Trump to any of this, except it reinforces the fact that Donald Trump is terrible at hiring people. That he surrounds himself with people that turn out to be dirtbags. So, there's the birds of a feather.
People have
lots. He's fired dozens of people now. There are surrounding him, just like at the higher levels. There's 5 or 6 people who have been convicted of crimes at this point, and several more that have been indicted. There's definitely a birds of a feather argument to be made there, but you can't convict him based on that, because there's no evidence that he committed any crime based on the Manafort stuff. So here's what I'm worried about. If the people that want to bring Trump down, and everybody knows who they are, it's basically all of popular culture, would be more than thrilled if Trump were to get impeached and leave office in disgrace. I don't want that to happen, not because I like President Trump. I find myself liking him less and less as more crap he steps in, but because that would be terrible for the country. But if he did these things, then we got to see justice. We got to see him removed. There are a lot of people out there that just want him removed because they hate him. They don't care if he did this stuff or not. They just want him impeached.
Right.
They want him removed. I only want him removed if he did it, if it's necessary. So I think we really need to wait for the Mueller probe to be complete. Now, there are rumors circulating around that the report may drop in October, just in time for the election. Coincidentally, I've heard that from a couple of Washington type people on Twitter. And there's no way to be sure. But if that drops, and if there's evidence in it, we have to act, But you can't just pull him out because you don't like him. That destabilizes the whole government.
Right.
So we really need to wait and see. I know people are getting tired of hearing they need to wait and see. But you can't just spike the ball on the 20-yard line while you're about to run into for a touchdown. That's what Democrats are in very big danger of, getting a premature celebration penalty here. Could this stuff sink Trump? Maybe. We need to see all the evidence. But has he been beaten? Not by a long shot. The Manafort conviction does nothing to Trump, like I already mentioned. Cohen is not a good witness. He's deeply dishonest. He's been lying for 15 years because that's basically his job. He was the president's fixer, which is the kind of term that you only usually hear in mafia movies. And he has testified before Congress that Trump didn't do anything wrong in this campaign finance stuff. So if he flips now and says, oh yeah, he totally did, and I lied before, I lied to Congress, that makes him look dishonest and sets him up for a possible perjury. So, how reliable of a witness can he be in front of a jury? And can you indict a sitting president at all? There's a lot of legal debate about that. Can you indict a sitting president in federal court? Because the president is the boss of all federal law enforcement. So it would be like arresting the chief of police and trying to, have the other police, organize the trial. Or it would be like you being the prosecutor against your own boss at work. Like the head of your law firm gets arrested and he's paying you to be the prosecutor against him. It's conflict of interest.
Yeah.
He can be indicted on state crimes because he's not the boss of anything in the state. So that could happen. New York has a separate probe into his behavior going on. But Cohen's testimony is going to be tainted because a lot of it's going to conflict earlier on the record stuff. I just don't think it's enough. Early celebration could cost the blue wave. Early celebration cost Hillary Clinton the presidency. It was definitely one of the biggest contributing factors. It reminded me of that episode of The Simpsons when Bart runs for class president and he's handing out cupcakes and he's shaking hands and he's like, "Hey, Milhouse, how you doing? Hey, what's going on? Hey, you staying cool over here, buddy?" And they're all hanging out eating cupcakes out on the playground, and they come in and count the votes, and Wendell votes for Martin and Martin votes for Martin. And Mrs. Krabappel, she's like, "Let's have a recount. 1 for Martin, 2 for Martin." Nobody else voted. It's just 1 for Martin, 2 for Martin. And that's kind of what happened to Hillary Clinton. Everybody's like, "Nah, she's going to win." Well, if everybody just thinks that and doesn't go, she doesn't win. And if you think that again, be like, "Man, it's really piling up on the Republicans. I can just sit home and drink beer tonight instead of going." Well, Democrats don't drink beer. They drink Chardonnay or whatever. You can't just sit home. You got to go. You got to go vote. And if you want the president to not get impeached and you're a Republican, you got to go vote too. That's probably going to be a huge part of a lot of Republican congressmen's platform. It's going to be Trump's big midterm thing now. Like, if you don't want the fake news and the Democrats coming after me and trying to remove me from office and ruining our GDP and our black unemployment and our taxes and what the hell ever else talking point he wants to drag out, you got to go vote for your Republicans no matter who they are. That's a powerful message to some people. And he's going to be able to hit that pretty hard. So, there seems to be very little chance of impeachment of Trump based on this stuff. Especially since even if the blue wave does happen, Democrats will probably almost certainly only control the House and not the Senate. The impeachment process gets brought up by the House, but he has to be convicted by the Senate. And a Republican Senate will not convict Donald Trump unless it's so glaring that it would cost all of them their own careers. And that would have to be something way beyond what we've got. Because Trump kind of has a defense on these charges. And they're both terrible defenses that show that he's a scummy person or that he's dumb, but they're defenses in the legal sense that would stand up in court. One is that, all this money that Cohen illegally shifted around was to pay off Stormy Daniels and another Playboy playmate that I was banging, and I wanted them to keep quiet about it. And so now we're saying that's a campaign finance violation because you did it to influence the election. Well, his defense against that is he can say, "Well, you say that it's a campaign finance expenditure, but I've been doing this shit for years. I've been banging chicks and paying them to shut up since the 60s. And that makes you sound like a dirtbag, but according to the letter of the law, it kind of stands up. It worked for John Edwards, the vice presidential candidate, 8 years ago or 10 years ago. He paid off a woman that he had knocked up while he was still married on the campaign trail.
Oh, that's right.
And he got...
Totally forgot about that.
He got away with it because he was like, "That's what I do. I bang women and then I give them money to get abortions. It wasn't campaign related because I've done it even when I wasn't campaigning." And like, wow, that sucks. You're a dickhead. And we already know that President Trump is a dickhead. You can't go to jail for being a dickhead. Defense number 2 is that there needs to be evidence if you're going to nail Trump on campaign finance. There needs to be evidence that he knew that when Cohen moved this money around, he would do it in an illegal way, and then he told him to do it anyway. So Trump could say, like, look, I'm not a campaign finance guy, I'm not a lawyer. I told him, make this go away, spend the money, and I trusted him to do it in a legal way. And unless Cohen has tape or emails or something of Trump telling him, do this thing, and then Cohen says, no, that would be illegal, and then Trump says, do it anyway. Unless you've got that, that will probably stand up in court.
Do it anyway.
Yeah, you need evidence that Trump said in some way, do it anyway, even though I know it's against the law. Because part of the point of legal counsel is your lawyer's supposed to know what's legal and what's not way better than you do. That's why you shield yourself with lawyers when you're a rich person or a politician.
Yeah. But I wonder if it's hard to prove, because, I mean, it's not like, unless somebody has a recording of it, like, that seems kind of he said, she said against the President of the United States. Like,
there's no way they could convict if Cohen, like, if Cohen testifies in court, Trump told me to do it even though he knew it was illegal. Then Trump's lawyer, his new lawyer, is just going to come back and be like, do you have any proof of that? Well, no. Well, that's hearsay. And you're an unreliable witness because you lie all the time because you suck.
Exactly.
And that'll get him off in court. There needs to be emails or documents or audio recordings or something, or they're not going to get him. Yeah. So I really think that you need to wait for the Mueller probe if you're going to try to prosecute the president. I mean, I know that the people that hate Trump want to do it now, but there is no point in shooting your wad, because if you do it now and later the Mueller probe comes back and it's like, yeah, we got some kind of bad stuff, it's not really that bad, then people are like, go to hell, it's another witch hunt. They'll be tired of it by then. Trump will win the publicity battle.
Yep.
So even if Mueller doesn't have that much, if he only has kind of bad stuff, if you add that kind of bad stuff to this bad stuff, then you might have something. But I just really think you need to wait.
Yeah. It's not a smoking gun yet. I heard that a lot online. It's the smoking gun. Woo!
Yeah, it's not though.
Nah.
Like, I know we want everything to be the smoking gun. Kathy Griffin wants everything to be the smoking gun. We got him. I'm vindicated. No, you don't. You don't have him yet.
No. Yeah.
I'm not saying you won't get him because he's a dirtbag. Maybe he did commit some terrible crimes. I'm saying that this isn't going to get him.
Right.
It's not enough.
Yeah.
But so there you go.
And Kathy, it's not about you anyways, so just shut up.
Well, that's the story of every low-level celebrity's life, is we have to remember that it's not about you.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit better at remembering that than she is. But, what are you going to do? Well, that, I guess, does it for Season 2 of the Ken Bone Zone.
Yeah, baby.
I'm really amazed that people are still listening to us for 40 episodes, and I did my best this episode to, destroy that by alienating both sides, alienating both the Trump people and the hate Trump people. But we're going to continue to do that. We're going to continue to talk about these stories as fairly as we possibly can, and then make wiener jokes in between them.
There we go.
That's going to continue to be the format forever.
We need a tagline then, like Ken Bone, fair and balanced. Oh wait, that's taken. Ken Bone, he reports, you decide.
Yeah.
Shit, that's taken too.
Yeah.
We'll work on it.
It's an uncomfortable amount of Fox News tie-ins going on here. They wouldn't give me Bill O'Reilly's show. I'm done with them.
I'm done.
Hell with Fox News. They couldn't pay me enough. That's a lie. Like,
that's a lie.
Fox News, I know a lot of you are shills, but I will still take your money.
Yeah.
Josh and I will make a morning show. We'll go from 2 to 4 a.m. I don't give a shit.
We will be as conservative as you need us to be.
Oh, yeah. I will wear red every day. My office chair has to be made of money.
Yeah.
And I'll just basically be on the campaign trail. I'll sell my soul. I wouldn't really do that.
Right.
But maybe. No, I wouldn't do that. But for enough money...
I'd
have to make sure I'd have to make sure the contract was worded in such a way that I was able to sneak messages out. Or after they inevitably fired us, that we could be like, we were just screwing with them and we took their money. We gotta have something to vindicate ourselves.
I guess the question for me would be like, well, how conservative do you want? Are we talking like Hannity conservative, or I think that matters.
I don't think I could do Hannity conservative. Like, my soul would just evaporate eventually.
Yeah.
To just go out in public and to do what, from our perspective and our viewpoint, would be lying all the time, lying about what we believe, that would just tear away at your own, self-worth after a while.
Right.
And it's really hard to put a price tag on that. Maybe a Brian Kilmeade level. He's not a centrist guy, but he's not as nutso as Hannity.
Yeah.
He's actually pretty reasonable. I've talked to Kilmeade a couple of times, and he's willing to have a conversation.
Well, that's cool.
I could maybe do that, but no. We'd have to take a lower paying job on MSNBC, and nobody would really watch. But at least they like hiring people that hate Trump, but they'll let you work there even if you don't. They'll let you work there even if you're willing to listen to both sides of the story before you make a decision. You just get a crappier time slot, probably.
Yeah. Which, hey, it's better than it's better than what we're doing now. So.
Yeah, I mean,
baby steps.
Yeah, we do this show. We get to say whatever we want, which is great, and talk about whatever we want and research however we want. We also don't get paid. We keep forgetting about that part.
Yeah.
Damn it! 40 episodes in, we still haven't figured out how to get paid.
Yeah.
Everybody tell your friends about the show. I think, I could be wrong because I'm not an insider in the business, but I suspect that the making money part is linked to how many people watch the show. Now, don't hold me to that because it might not be true.
No,
but
you're not. No, you're off on that one.
Yeah,
that can't be.
Maybe I am. That was just a wild rumor I heard that you have to get more than a couple hundred people to watch the show before you can get anyone to pay money for it. And that sounds crazy, but it might be true.
It just seems counterintuitive for some reason. I don't know.
Yeah, we're going to continue doing the show until the viewer count drops below 2, because that will mean that neither Josh or I is even watching our own show. Then we'll know it's time to stop.
like
when we can't, if we can't get our wives to watch the show, we'll be like, maybe we should pack it in.
The internet is trying to tell us something.
Yeah.
Go away.
You only got one view, and I'll be like, well, it wasn't really a view. I only clicked on it to see if it would play. I only watched 30 seconds of it.
Yeah. Oh, this isn't what I wanted. Click.
Yeah. Who's this moron? Oh, God, that's me. Is that what I sound like? This is terrible.
Hey, people are still watching and listening to much worse than us. So you know what? There's a hope. There's hope for us.
Yeah, we can be objective about the show and realize that it is of extremely low production quality because I make it with free software on my computer here, sitting at my piano with a computer sitting on top of it, and that we don't have a staff of writers. In fact, we don't have any writers. We just have me and Josh making notes and thinking about what stories we want to talk about. I only do about 2 hours of work before we do a 1 hour recording every week, so it's not like we're putting a lot of resources into it. But I think by that standard, we do a pretty good show. And if you surf around YouTube, you can find a lot of people with a lot more views that are making absolute dog shit.
Right.
And people are watching it, so we're just waiting for that breakthrough. It could happen.
It could happen.
We need to do an unboxing stream next time I buy something stupid. Maybe.
There we go. We just need to spin some fidget spinners, get the 12-year-old boy crowd. I don't know what the show's about, but they have fidget spinners, and so I'm gonna watch it.
Every couple of weeks, we'll get a comment on the YouTube page, be like, "You should start a gaming channel." Yeah, that's totally related to the content we're making now. I have the utmost confidence that you actually watched the show before you left that comment. Josh and I, we're going to start playing Fortnite. Maybe it would be genius. Maybe we stream Fortnite and we still talk about Paul Manafort while we're doing it.
That could be You could be onto something there. I mean, game shows are popular, even though I don't understand it, and there's a million of them, but hey.
Yeah, I'm not overly fond of just watching one person play video games. I do watch a couple of gaming-related channels, but they're very personality-driven.
Yeah.
But, like, if I'm going to devote a lot of time to video game content, it's going to be me playing video games and nobody else watching.
Right. I always thought, I'm sure somebody's done it on YouTube, but, where people play video games and take a shot of something every, 10 minutes. And I think, that'd be funny. I'm sure it's been done, though.
I don't know. Maybe if one of us manages to travel to the other at some point, we'll do a live stream. We'll play something really old. We'll play like Super Mario Brothers, and you got to take a shot every time you die, and then one of us goes blind, and then the show's over.
I dig it. Damn it.
That's one of the first ditties I learned to play on the piano, was the Super Mario Brothers theme music. I was like, ooh, I might actually be able to play an instrument. Someday maybe I will. All right. Well, I guess we'll call that the end of the show. We really appreciate everybody listening. We will see you in about 4 weeks. We'll put out an announcement on Twitter. At KenBone18 is me, or at Hoonerific is Josh. We'll announce when we're coming back. It'll be in plenty of time for midterm election coverage, but for now we're going to take a little bit of a break so our brains don't explode and we don't have to dissect politics quite as much while we're trying to enjoy the last bits of summer and the early parts of fall. So we'll see you then. Hope you come back and listen to us some more and bring your friends with you. But until then, for my good friend Josh Burkett, I am Ken Bone, and I approve this sweater.